Let me introduce myself. Don't know how many of you know me. I'm Kareema Barry. And not Garima, not Kareena, not Karuna, Karma, all of that. Kareema. And just like my name, I've always felt a bit unique, a little different, slightly quirky, and I managed to make a career out of it. So today I'm just going to talk about that, talk about people who do want to do this, and if any of you are one of those people, then perhaps this is going to inspire you and make you believe in your quirks being something that you can always capitalize on. So let me give you a little bit of background. I am from Calcutta in West Bengal. I grew up there. I grew up in a family of 4, and all of us are a little mad. We have always used humor as a coping mechanism. We do not understand how to cope with things without pushing in a joke somewhere. How many of you are like that? Like, do you all constantly want to joke about things? Okay, that's a lot of people. Great, healthy coping mechanisms in the room here. So yeah, that's always been me. And then in the lockdown, so I went to Hindu college. I studied there for my undergrad. And in the lockdown in 2020, suddenly, obviously, I was like, oh, 7 दिन के लिए हम जा रहे हैं किसी और के, मतलब अपनी बहन के घर जा रही थी मैं in Gurgaon while I was studying in Delhi, and I was like, oh, it must be a week-long thing. So I packed 3 t-shirts, 1 black spaghetti top, which I thought was the dressiest thing I owned, and I went to my sister's apartment in Gurgaon, and I ended up staying there for the next 10 months with exactly those items. I had my laptop, my OnePlus 6, the charger, and I can literally count it, and I remember this so vividly because those were the only things that I owned in that period, okay? And my sister is my elder sister, and so if y'all are younger siblings, y'all know that you can't really borrow things without being threatened with murder. So I was sitting there and we had to share a room, and my sister was like, "Tum mera sar kha rahi ho, ab ho gaya." So I was just doing all these characters, which I've always done since I was in college, since I was in school. I was always doing these characters for my friends at parties. Somehow that was like my party trick, okay? I was like, oh, today I'm going to be like an Ashoka boy, or today I'm going to be like this a Delhi girl. And I was doing these things for my friends. So I started doing it for my sister because I had no interaction with anybody else, right? And she was like, I'm tired now. It's been 20 years of this exact experience. Why don't you put this out on the internet? And I was like, huh? What's that? And I had a private Instagram at that point, okay? This is the same Instagram that I still use today, which is not 13 million, it's 1 million. It's 1.3, I think y'all missed the point there. It's fine, we'll get there. So my sister was like, just post this. And there was this challenge going around. I don't know, I'm sure everybody was using their phones excessively during the lockdown. And there was this challenge going around, which was basically like you post something and then you remove it the next day. So it was like until tomorrow, the challenge was. I don't know how many of you have heard of that. And that you like someone's picture and they send you a DM and they're like, lol, now you have to post this also. And it was like goofy pictures that you have to post of yourself for one day. So I was like, I send these videos to my friends all the time anyway. Why don't I just post it? And so there were these like Snapchat videos that I had saved where I was like, Ayani chalegi tu, Sarojini chalne shopping karegi tu. And so those kind of videos I had on my phone. Now I posted it. And randomly, like Malika Dua has shared it, okay? This is when I was like at 1100 followers. All of my following list was me, my best friends, my ex-best friends. So now randomly I'm getting all this attention. I was like, hoga, kuch hoga, maybe one time. And I was happy. Then my sister was like, again you've come back. Again you're bugging me, post another video. So I was like, okay, maybe this is the kind of release that I need in the lockdown. So I started posting videos more. And then out of nowhere, I started posting it more regularly. One of my videos went viral. One of them on the carpet. So one of them went viral. This was this parody of somebody saying that they're not a feminist, and I was like, and because of reasons that they didn't justify very well, so I made a parody of it, and that was something that reached people and touched people's hearts. And then I realized that perhaps including comedy, which I was telling you all about in the start, circling back to that I used humor as a coping mechanism, and I realized that humor was something जो मतलब सबको छू लेता था. Like I would penetrate into people's souls by just talking about very serious things that was not going to be as serious sounding, if that makes any sense. So right now also I'm giving you all a little bit of gyan, but I'm doing it in a way where I'm trying to converse with you. And I was like, okay, since my parents are also like this, since they have taught me about, like, even when we were dealing with crises in our lives, we were using jokes to deal with it. So I decided to continue doing that. Then I got signed, and then I realized I got signed to an agency, and when you get signed to an agency as a talent, you find ways of and find abilities to monetize this. So I was like, अच्छा, मेरे पागलपन से मैं पैसे भी कमा सकती हूँ. So I realized that this can actually be a career, and that's how I made a career out of it. Now, in the last two and a half years, I'm very proud of myself for what I've done. I was in a Netflix show, like what's going on? And just doing these things, like going for shoots, shooting with mentors, comics that I've always idolized, them knowing my name, them telling me that they find me funny. I was like, oh, that's a possibility. And just doing all of those things have not only made me proud of myself, but also taught me the things that you should or should not do when you're venturing out into content creation, and later on when I have now ventured out into acting. So how many of you here, since you're listening to me, I am just asking you, how many of you have thought about also being a content creator? And don't look at your friend next to you, you can raise your hand. See, that's a lot of people, right? And I would have not raised my hand in college. Like, even if I was watching a content creator speak on stage, I probably would have not said, हाँ पता नहीं क्या कह रही है, मतलब होगा कुछ. And I was that shy person. So I'm really glad that some of you have raised your hand, and a lot of you have. So I'll just go over the things that I've learned, okay? 3 things. First, just the do's and don'ts of being in this industry, which is full of crazy people like me and the ones who raise their hands and their friends who are going to tolerate their behavior for the next 2 years. First thing, overthinking. I'm sure y'all have gone through this feeling of constantly wanting to break things down, reduce them, and then overanalyze them, and then never do it again. So when I was not starting content creation, since I've been saying that it was always within me, I was always this funny, quirky person, it was this overthinking mentality that I had, where I was like, when I'm doing something, it must be perfect. So I just wouldn't attempt it unless I was doing it to its perfect precision and like really like going into it, right? And that's something you shouldn't do, because the way I started was spontaneous, right? I listened to my elder sister, which I don't do till now, and I went for it because I was being spontaneous, I was being impulsive. And a lot of the videos that I have made, which have been hits, which have touched people's hearts, which have made people laugh, like during COVID, like the things that I heard from people going for healthcare workers who were amused by that humor and were finding some kind of space in that humor. Like those kinds of things happen because you're being spontaneous, you're being impulsive. Nobody is going to win by overthinking. This is that gut feeling situation that we need to really invest in. So the second thing that I would say is trusting yourself. Because in content creation, everyone's unique. That's the reason you are appreciated for who you are. Because your content can never be identical to someone else's content. Your job may be, your profile may be, your position in an administration may be with another person, but you as a content creator can never be the same as another person, right? But at the same time, when you are trusting yourself and when you are creating this very unique idea, and when you're representing that idea, since we're talking about cosmos of ideas and we're exploring that, you also tend to, third point, compare yourselves. Love doing that. In content creation, often you will see your contemporaries very out there, right? After you leave college, a lot of times in other jobs, you don't get to meet your friends as often. You don't know exactly what they're doing. So it's not like you know exactly how much they're earning, or you can be jealous of it, or how much progress they have made, how successful they are. But in content creation, it's on your phone. It's the numbers you're constantly seeing. You're seeing what brand deals they're working with. You're seeing what exactly people are up to, right? So that can be very hard for you to not compare yourself. So especially when you're starting out, right? If you're starting out right now, you're going to be like, oh, ये मेरे दोस्त क्या सोचने वाले हैं, ये मेरी cousin क्या सोचने वाली है, रांची में बैठे हुए uncle क्या सोचने वाले हैं, ये वाला photo डालूं नहीं डालूं. All of that you're going to think about. But trusting yourself and not comparing yourself is something that is going to take a while, and I'm still not done with it. I still think about it sometimes, but at this point at least, while I've at least learned the second step. So even when I am comparing myself to other people, I'm also simultaneously trusting in myself and my ability to create my own unique content. So these things are very, very important for when you're starting out especially, and even much later. And not like I've aced any of it. I still have my moments. I still think about these things. But at the end of it, it's like my sister says, if you just keep smiling, you might just convince yourself that you are actually feeling like you want to smile. So just continue doing that. Now, things that you should do. Focus on your brain, your mental health. My therapist always tells me, do one thing at a time, and it's okay to sit on things. So I'm very open about the fact that I go to therapy. I think a lot of people should be now, because it's just like going to another doctor. It's like you're talking to them, you're sharing your emotions, things that you perhaps can't share with your friends, you can't share with your parents. And maybe it's not even that. Maybe you just need a third person to listen to your situation and have their professional expert opinion on how you need to develop these coping mechanisms. So when I started content, and this is from much before, I've always been somebody who was very enthusiastic about starting therapy before. It's like skincare, right? Like how people say you need to start anti-wrinkling creams before you hit 25. It's like you need to start going for therapy before you hit rock bottom, so that you avoid hitting rock bottom. So I started at a point where I didn't need therapy, but I wanted it, and I wanted to figure that out. So in content creation also, and in any kind of industry which includes entertainment, you need to focus on your mental health, because it's a physical job. It's you. I am the brand, I am the product, I am the person standing here. If I wasn't here, Tripti, my manager, would have been like, what are we supposed to do now, right? So you have to focus on yourself. You have to think about what you're feeling, how you're going to feel when you go up to a place. Second thing, consistency. I'm not good at it. I'm still not good at it. I don't know when I'm going to get good at it, but when I started, and I do believe that is the reason, no matter how talented you are, if you're not consistent with what you're doing, people will forget. People have very little attention spans. I am sure y'all have zoned out in the midst of a lot of the talks that have been given to you today. I don't know if, anybody zoned out right now can come back. But yeah, you have to be consistent. You have to really just put yourself out there constantly. And whilst you're putting yourself out there, you need to focus on how you're feeling here. So don't put yourself out there by compromising on yourself, but be consistent. Post every day, post at the same time every day. Pick a niche that you want to choose. Like, I'm interested in so many things, but I have focused on a singular niche that I want to. मतलब एकदम नहीं होता है कि एकदम पूरी तरीके से वो जो रिविजन वाला सुबह वाला पढ़ाई होता है, वैसे you need to start doing these things. You need to start scripting them, and I didn't even script it. Like, I used to do brand deals because I used to make videos for my friends. I didn't know what scripting was. I didn't know what editing was. I used to make single take videos that used to last 60 seconds, and I used to post them. Then I started learning editing on my phone. Then after I got signed to a management, then I learned what a camera is. Then I was told थोड़ा सा lipstick लगा के खड़ी हो जाओ, मतलब थोड़ा तो कुछ कर लो, because I was wearing those same 6 t-shirts. And then eventually I realized that consistency is what is going to give me that kind of platform, the kind of platform that I'm standing on right now, having the ability to talk to you guys, having the ability to make you listen and even give you advice, you know. So yeah, that consistency is super, super important. After that, money is very important. I don't think money is equal to happiness. Everybody agrees with that. But it surely contributes a lot to the state that you're feeling, the emotional state that you are in. And that's the kind of maturity that I'm 24 now. I have a long way to go to learn these things, but this is one of the lessons I've learned. And having the ability to provide and do things for your family that you otherwise wouldn't have thought of doing, Those are the things that are going to motivate you in this situation. Not just the fact that you've made your work your passion, which can sometimes, not everybody has the opportunity to convert what they truly love doing. Things that I was doing for my friends, to be able to do that as a job is not something that everybody gets a chance to do, and I'm very lucky for that. But at the same time, when you convert your passion into your work, when you convert it into your job, sometimes you lose interest. Sometimes you're like, अब मुझको ये भी करना पड़ेगा, क्योंकि अब तुम म्यूजिक ऐसे ही नहीं बजा रहे हो ना, like you're not playing the piano for yourself, for your friends, you're playing it for an auditorium of people. So sometimes you lose interest in it. But that's the thing, when you start doing these things, when सबके अंदर जो लोग ने हाथ उठाया उनके अंदर वो जो कीड़ा है जो बहुत वेट कर रहा है बाहर आने के लिए, sometimes that कीड़ा is like a little upset, that कीड़ा is like sulking inside you. They're like, इसको भी काम बना दिया तुमने, एक चीज़ तो मुझे खुश करती थी. And then you lose interest, but you have to fall in love with your art fully, whatever that may be writing, music. I've always been a humanities child. I have never been a commerce or science kid. So if there's artsy people here, I will always say you have to be a little like strict with the way that you're bordering on that art. So keep some things for yourself, because I know art is very personal. Any kind of creative outlet is always very personal. So the only thing that I would kind of conclude this whole conversation is when you're making your hobby, your passion, something that is going to maybe monetize you, maybe something that's going to give you a career, hold that into your, like, remember it as you are, and remember that you are an artist at the end of the day. No matter who's liking it, what they're looking at, no matter their opinions, if you feel happy at the end of the day when you've posted it. When I looked at myself on a screen, I was like, oh, Netflix homepage, that's me. When I looked at myself, that feeling, and I watched it with my best friend. I didn't watch it first with anybody else, because I was like, there are certain experiences that you need to keep to yourself. And so do those things. Do things that protect you. Do things that put you out there. Create that balance and continue doing it. Be consistent with that and make that balance something that you are proud of, something that you associate with your name, something that you associate with your childhood like I did, and something that is going to make you your name and is going to be defining of what you've always wanted to do since you were a little baby.